Good evening. This is a public meeting of the Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals for January 14th, 2013. Tonight, we have four matters before us. The first is a continuance, ZB 2012-52. It's for a variance. The applicant is George C. Elides Jr., and the property is located at 1857 Middlesex Street, and the petition is demolish and renovate portions of an existing building, along with construct additions and accessory structures for the new school use without meeting frontage requirements pursuant to Section 5.1 of the zoning ordinance. We've received a communication from Attorney Elides, and I'll read it into the record, stated January 9, 2013. Dear Chairman Bailey, this office represents Middlesex Partners Limited Partnership, petitioner for variance under case number ZB 2012-52. Request is hereby made to continue the public hearing scheduled for Monday, January 14, 2013, until your meeting on February 11, 2013, for the purpose of allowing the petitioner to have additional time to respond to comments from various department heads and the Department of Planning and Development, provide information to neighbors in the City of Lowell Planning Board, and to prepare sufficient information to provide the Zoning Board of Appeals at its public hearing. This request is made with the additional agreement and understanding that the petitioner agrees to waive the 100-day requirement for a decision and final action on its petition. Thank you in advance for your anticipated cooperation. So, Joe, I know you and I had spoken earlier today, and the 100-day requirement based on Attorney Elides' communication, that's all set, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So if I could have a motion to continue this to February 11th, 2013.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the matter before us in ZBA 2012-52 at 1857 Middlesex Street for variance, and make a motion to approve a continuance to the February 11, 2013 meeting.
I have a second.
Second it.
I have a motion.
Mr. Hearn,
Approve. Continue, I'm sorry.
Mr. Bailey,
Continue to February 11th.
Mr. Belanger,
Continue.
Mr. McCarthy,
Continue?
Mr. Perrin.
Continue.
Okay, and before I move into new business, anyone that's here this evening that's either here for or against a petition, if you could sign in at the podium before addressing the board. Okay, our first order of business under new business is ZB 2012-54. This is a special permit under signs. The applicant is Tony Lazzardo. The property is located at 211 Plain Street. And the petition to install new channel letters for Lincoln Tech and relocate the existing illuminated sign over the rear entrance to the school pursuant to Section 6.3 of the zoning ordinance. Good evening, sir. Sure, take your time. No, I was just saying, take your time.
Okay.
Yeah, whenever you're ready to tell us about your petition, we're all ears.
Okay, I'm here to petition for a variance to install a new set of channel letters on the front entrance of Lincoln Tech, and take the old existing sign and move it around to the back, because the landlord, the property owner, had put a rear entrance on the back of the property for the students to come in, and he wanted to utilize the existing sign on the back.
And so as you stated, the property owner did construct a rear entrance.
Yes.
Is there parking out back for the
Yes,
students?
there's parking. He put in a whole new walkway, a whole new, sidewalk and all that stuff.
Okay,
So he wants to mark it for.
okay. Have you done any work over there before?
I was the original contractor that took down all the existing,
Okay,
back when the construction first started.
sure.
So, and then,
Yep.
time progressed.
Anything else you'd like to tell us about it?
No, generally, main reason why I wanted to, not to use the existing sign on the front, it was an illuminated, box sign. And he kind of laid out a spec throughout the whole plaza as individual illuminated LED channel letter signs. So that's pretty much most of the signs, well, pretty much every sign out there now in the front have the same, MO,
Sure.
if you will.
Okay. All right. If there's nothing else you want to add, I'm going to open it up to the public at this point.
Okay, no, I don't think so.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone here that'd like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? In favor? Hearing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Anyone like to speak in opposition? In opposition? Opposition? Hearing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. I'd like to open it up to the board. Van?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say that this packet is really well put together. I think it's very detailed, and I know I appreciate it. I just have a few questions. The new sign that you're putting up, is that going to be the same size as the rest of the other signs, kind of aligned with the other stores, and this is next to it? And
Well, it's allowed, each, I guess, location is a square footage. It's actually smaller than the original sign that was at the front, only because of, trying to keep it all in conformity of the allotted space since he revamped it.
Yeah.
So, all the signs are pretty much different in size, only because the storefronts are all different sizes.
Okay.
But in the allotted area, the square footage is actually less than what was there originally. So they're trying to, you know what I mean? And that's just how it worked out because of the location after they redid the storefront.
Okay. And another question, the hours of illumination, is that going to be the same as?
Yes, all the signs are pretty much on a time clock, which conforms to whatever the store hours.
And that's the same
In the
for?
whole plaza, it's pretty much, they're all the same.
Okay. And that'd be the same thing for the sign in the back, too? That's-
Yes, they're all pretty much on the same timer.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'm in support of this sign package that you put together. I think the graphics here are a tremendous improvement over the original sign. I'm glad you're not just discarding it, but you're repurposing the original sign to the rear of the site. So I think that's a good way to do it, but especially changing the scale of the signage on the front to half the size and going to channel letters, I think it's a big improvement. So I'm very much supportive of this. And I think even the location that you're getting up higher on the facade is going to help you with visibility. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Kevin?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions. I appreciate the solid package that came in. I'm in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Gary?
I have no comments, Mr. Chairman.
And Corey?
No comment, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Joe, did the petitioner, this gentleman, see the comments come back from DPD?
Yes, they were sent.
So, sir, there were three comments that the city had made. I just checked with Joe. He says you should have got a copy of that.
Yes, I did.
Okay. So regarding the LED technology, is that going to be used on the rear? Is it going to be LED used on the front and rear?
No, the rear is fluorescent bulbs. Again, because the sign has been there originally since, back in the day when that place was actually opened, they
Yep.
didn't have LED technology. So now it's all fluorescent tubes on the back. And it's a box sign, not individual channel letters. Which means
Okay.
it's a cabinet and,
So, Joe, the comment says whether or not the existing sign proposed to move to the rear would be lit via LED. So, are you moving what was originally there to the rear of the building?
that's correct.
Okay. So, what would be the issue for your company to do the LED?
As far as changing it
Yeah.
to the back, that's not what was asked of me to do by the property owner. He pretty much says
Okay.
it's a perfectly working sign, there's nothing
Yep.
wrong with it.
So, Joe, I guess what I'll ask, and if there's another board member that wants to chime in, have we addressed any of the rear of the buildings for all of the signage that we've had up there? I can't think of one off the top of my head where we address both the front, the replacement of the front, and then also address the rear. Can you give me some input on that?
Yeah, this is actually the first sign over at that property that will be on the rear portion of the property. Has to do with the property owner acquiring land from the railroad, that abandoned railroad in the rear.
Yeah.
And we acquired that property and turned into additional parking, pretty much specifically for Lincoln Tech.
Okay, so so what would the issue be for the city to have the LED, since it's on, I'm gonna say the rear of the property, as opposed to most of the other storefronts that are there?
The comment about the LEDs was just more a general question about how the sign would be lit. I didn't know how the sign currently was lit. And in the past, it seems like it's been a pretty good move to push towards moving toward LED technology for savings for the applicant as well as a lower carbon footprint.
Yeah, and this is why I'm asking if you had already seen the comments that came back, and so what you're stating is you're not being chatted by the building owner to switch out the
Right, exactly.
lighting?
Yeah, they had this sign, it could be a money thing, to tell you the truth. It's an existing sign, it lights, it's perfectly good condition.
Yeah.
It's just, older technology, I guess you can call it. I mean, it's still used today in a lot of different applications. To take a box sign and put LEDs in it would be, not really cost effective. Because you would just, when you build them, it would have to be a grid.
Yeah.
And it would just take like so many LEDs to light, so you wouldn't see hot spots and bad shadowing. So that's why generally you won't see them on box signs, which would be a big rectangle or square.
Yep.
LEDs are generally used on individual illuminated channel letters because it pretty much could light a stroke of a letter.
Yeah.
And that's why, everybody's going on to doing LEDs. One, it's more cost effective. As far as serviceability, 50,000 hours of lighting. It's essentially, a battery. It's a 12-volt system.
Yep.
So, and it's just more efficient. So that's why everybody's moving that way towards the new stuff.
You got something to say?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chairman, I just would like to comment that, this sign here is existing. I mean, LED is an option. I'm almost certain all the board members would like to see there, but it's not one I'm willing to hold the petitioner to. I think that would be an unnecessary financial burden to the petitioner on the sign ordeal, which basically I'm hoping gets revamped soon, because here we have an existing sign, and on one end, and the other side is they're coming down on the square footage to what was there. So again, it's a why are they here type thing. Not that I don't mind doing my job, but again, maybe down the road when they see their electric bill over the months, they might very well convert over the years. So, but again, it's not what I'm willing to hold the petitioner to. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'd be in agreement. I guess the only side comment I would make is, I know we've had the building owner in here, and the way that development has all come along, I don't think they'd be at this point, trying to shortcut on any costs. So there has to be, a valid and a business reason why they haven't, basically said through you to bring in the LED technology. I mean, the city's position is they would like to see LED on the signage, especially lit signage, and I know this board has always supported that. I agree with Corey's comment. Does anybody else have a comment on that before I move? Okay. The other, they had two other comments here, and I'll just go through those quickly. The next one had to do with, there's only this one sign we're talking about. There's not going to be any other signage that's lit, correct?
Nope.
Okay, so I'll have that as a condition, just to ensure that there isn't any other signs that all of a sudden show up. And the last point, and you had made reference to this regarding the hours of illumination. Gary, I think I'll condition that too. We've been pretty consistent with that whole site, but we'll just have that as a condition that it'll be in harmony with the business hours for that plaza.
Very good.
Okay. Any other comments from any of the board members? Hearing none, could I have a motion, please?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the matter before us is ZBA 2012-54 at 211 Plain Street for a special permit. Make a motion to approve with the following conditions. To Lincoln Tech, that the 2 signs approved tonight are the only signs approved for this site, and the hours of illumination are in harmony with the other businesses in the plaza.
Could I have a second?
Second?
Have a roll call?
Mr. Ahern,
Approve with conditions.
Mr. Bailey,
Approve with conditions.
Mr. Belanger,
Approve with conditions.
Mr. McCarthy,
Approve with conditions?
Mr. Perrin.
Approve with conditions.
Okay, sir, it's been approved with conditions. Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, our next matter before us is ZB 2012-55. This is a special permit under signs. The applicant is Anchor Sign. The property is located at 211 Plain Street. And the petition is to install new internally illuminated signage for 5 Below pursuant to Section 6.3 of the zoning ordinance. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, folks.
Yep.
So I'm here for this proposal to, for the illuminated channel letters in front of the building. 2 signs, a set of letters in front of the building, and they are illuminated by LEDs, and then 1 window sign, which is their standard package that they put in all their locations. That is illuminated by fluorescent. And those are the 2 signs we're proposing. Any questions?
Okay. Have you been before us?
Yes, I've been, not for this particular location, but other locations,
Yep.
yes.
Okay. All right. So as far as the, again, I guess, as I asked this same gentleman, did you receive the comments from the city?
There are some comments in the city about changing the illuminated window sign to LEDs. Again, these signs are already made up. Did they put these in all their locations? Is it impossible to do it? It's not impossible to do it, but they are already made up and they are standard. It is a very small sign, too. They're illuminated by T5 bulbs, which are energy efficient, if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah. Well, I guess, as I stated to this other gentleman, and since we have petitions tonight for this whole location, we've had, quite a few of the locations that come in for the signage, and regarding the LED lighting, Joe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we've pretty much had LED, and I think that's why the city's asking about that. Am I correct in stating that, or?
At this particular location, it's been
Yeah.
mostly LED, yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about, this location only.
Yeah.
Not- So, your comment to that is,
Well, they're standard signs and they're already made up for all the locations. Can they be converted to LEDs? Yes, they can at a cost to the client, but yes, they can.
okay,
If that was to hold up the project, I'm sure that they would go
Right,
forward with
right.
that.
But I guess what you're stating is the chain uses a particular type of lighting, that's what they're,
Yes, and they're illuminated channel letters up front. LEDs is pretty much standard for them.
Yeah.
And the window side will be fluorescent. It's in the interior of the store facing out, so.
okay. Yep. And what you're here tonight for the signage, are the only signs that will be lit, correct?
Yes, and the only other sign that they have would be their directory pylon that is facing the highway.
Yep,
And
yep. Okay.
that's about it.
Okay, anything else you'd like to add, sir, at this point?
There's
Okay.
not too much, nope.
I'm going to open it up to the public. Anyone here like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? In favor? Hearing none, that portion of public hearing is closed. Anyone here like to speak in opposition? In opposition? Opposition? Hearing none, that portion of public hearing is closed. Corey?
Well, I don't think at this small here, Mr. Chairman, it's anything out of the ordinary. Again, we have what is a national chain relocating to Lowell, where I myself, as a Sprint consumer, and I've always had to go up to Nashua, and this is a real convenience. I think for a lot of residents of the city of Lowell. So I think it's great, and I do support it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Gary?
My only comment would be that with the standardized form of the box sign that your company does, is just make them aware that the board is looking in the future to have LED. And I would make a condition that these are the only 2 signs we approve for this site.
Thank you. Kevin?
I have no further comments, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Dennis?
I think this is wonderful that we're getting signage in that location, and it's a beautiful Five Below sign. The other sign's inside the store, so it's not quite the same impact that I think you have for exterior signs. So I think that the requirement of LED is not as big a matter for me personally, where we're doing such a nice job with the main sign, and it is T5 fluorescents, which are a great efficient light fixture. However, they still have mercury in the tubes, which is not preferable to LED. So I guess it could be overlooked because it's inside the store, and you're typically going to have fluorescent fixtures in the lighting there anyway. So, but nice package, and nice job. Thank you.
So Dennis, are you asking to have one of the signs with LED, or are you?
I guess what I'm suggesting is that we could justify the one inside the store as not being LED, since it's not the major billboard type sign that's hard to access. And you're going to have light fixtures in the store that are fluorescent anyway, and you're talking about a fluorescent fixture that's highly efficient, the T5 bulbs. So I'm not seeing it as a big deal, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Okay, so you're satisfied with the petitioner's request?
I am.
Yep.
I am. It's a different kind of sign, I guess is what I'm getting at. It's inside the store, it's smaller.
Okay. All right, thank you. Van?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also want to say that this packet is very detailed, and the graphics and design, they look really good. I just have one question about the window sign. When it turns on and off, would that be in kind of sync with the main sign, so that way that
I have to assume that at this point,
Okay.
that they would, when the store closed, it'd be open and closed during store hours, as with their interior lights, it'd be dimmed down, that sign would turn off as well.
okay, so it would be in line with the major sign?
If you want to make a note of that, I'll make sure that that's the way it's going to be.
Okay. I'm not sure if the board or the chairman wants to add this condition, but I think it'd be just appropriate
That would be pretty standard.
Yeah.
I mean, when they shut the signs off that their business is closed, and that's, or whatever the mall requires,
Yeah.
the plaza, as far as signs being on and off.
Okay.
As this gentleman stated before, they want everything uniform, so that would be the way things would go.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, so based on the comments from the board, I believe I have 2 conditions. One being the signage that's being proposed this evening is the only signage that will be at this location. And then the second condition will be the same that we've done for all the tenants regarding illumination at the site. Will be consistent with the rest of the location. So that'd be my 2 conditions. Any other comments from any of the board members? Hearing none, can I have a motion, please?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for the following. ZBA 2012-55 at 211 Plain Street, 5 Below, for a special permit with the following conditions. The 2 proposed signs for this site are the only signs for approval, including the 1 window sign. And the hours of illumination stay within harmony with the other businesses in the plaza.
Have a second?
Second motion.
Have a roll call?
Mr. Ahern,
Approve with conditions.
Mr. Bailey,
Approved with conditions.
Mr. Belanger,
Approve with conditions.
Mr. McCarthy,
Approve with conditions.
Mr. Perrin.
Approve with conditions.
Okay, sir, you've been approved with conditions. Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, next matter before us is ZB 2012-56. Put the right glasses on. The petition is a special permit under signs. The applicant is Sprint Wireless. The property is located at 211 Plain Street, and the petition is to install new internally illuminated signage for Sprint Wireless pursuant to Section 6.3 of the zoning ordinance. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. You want to tell us about the signage?
What we basically propose are two signs.
Yep.
One is main on the front of the building, otherwise the other one is under the walkway.
Yep.
And the main sign is going to be LED.
What's that again?
The main sign is going to be LED.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Okay. Are you doing the installation, or are you the owner?
I'm the owner.
Owner, okay. Is this your first store?
This is my third store.
Third store, yeah,
Yeah.
good. Okay. So I don't believe, so we received, I guess, with the same two gentlemen, we received some comments from the city. Proposed blade sign will be lit via LED. So the blade sign, the other sign, you mentioned the major sign will have the LED. What about the other, the light box sign? Will that be LED?
That'll be T5 fluorescent.
That'll be what?
T5 fluorescent.
Okay. All right. Now, I think we've had, I hate to keep coming back to this. Joe, I think we've had these type of signs, the second sign the gentleman's talking about. I can think of one location that had them. Did
Yeah,
we?
a couple other tenants in there.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
A couple other tenants in that plaza have had the same type of sign.
Yeah. Well, was there any insistence on LED for those signs also?
I don't think it came up.
Right.
It
I
could
don't-
be because they were already lit with LEDs, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah. Well, somebody else wants to correct me on the board, but I don't remember us asking for the LED for the ones, I think we gave it a different term for those boards. So as far as the comment here, I would go with this gentleman's proposing, unless anybody else has any comments on that. And then the other comment, again, is your hours, that the signage will be on, and I think you've heard it from the other two applicants, that your hours of illumination will be consistent, hopefully with the rest of the site.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add? Okay. Open it up to the public. Anyone here that'd like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? In favor? Hearing none, that portion of public hearing is closed. Anyone like to speak in opposition? In opposition? Opposition? Hearing none. That portion of public hearing is closed. Gary?
I have no comments, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Kevin?
I have no comment either, Mr. Chairman. I think these signs look great. Thanks.
Dennis?
Through Mr. Chairman, I seem to remember, I think it was Children's Place was the other one, and I do recall that being LED. And I think that we did achieve LED for standard for exterior signs on this plaza in general until tonight. And it's a new sign, I believe. Are you making
It
it's a
is.
new sign? Yeah. And I don't see the reason why you wouldn't go with LED if you could do LED.
For the
Because
under walkway?
for the under walkway, yeah.
We could do it, but again, there is no technology what would let that sign like a regular sign under walkway, because LEDs, they come in different facts and figures. So I think the best is, which is as comparable to LED, T5 fluorescent bulbs.
I'm sorry, LED would be the same as a fluorescent, and you could certainly adapt it to any sign you want to adapt it to. You could certainly do this in LED, I know you could. As an architect,
I mean, I'm not sure about that, but again, like I said, T5, those fluorescent bulbs, they are as comparable to LEDs. So I don't think, it's a small sign, doesn't make that a difference.
I think it's a precedent we should be trying to maintain as sustainable source of electricity that we can. And I think we should try to do all new signage in the city as LED in general. I think that we should be promoting that, period.
And I agree, yeah.
So I think that we should be trying to maintain that standard here. And I think if we've got it on the other signs, which I do believe Children's Place does, we should be consistent in the way we approve these blade signs that are internally lit. So that's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, and that's why I guess I was asking the board if they had any comments on this, because I couldn't recall what we had done with either one or other tenants that had these blade signs. I guess my concern is we should have consistency with this new site, so that's why I kind of threw it out there, sir. I couldn't remember in my mind if we had LED or not, but, you know, this is a brand new, we've been very successful there, and I want to make sure we're consistent in what we're doing with the signage. Because I obviously don't want to have one tenant go in there and then somebody else come along and there's comments made that, you know, we let you have this and we didn't give this guy that. You know, I'm looking for consistency over there, and I believe the board members are also, so. Van.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think this is a good project and I support it. I just had a quick question to the applicant. You said you have two other stores, like, just where they're located? I'm just curious.
One is in Arlington, the other one is in Gardner.
Okay. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Corey.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. In conjunction with what was mentioned by Dennis and yourself, that, you know, consistency, I totally agree with you, but I don't think we can look at consistency as far as LED and fluorescent. In my opinion, consistency is based on size. I mean, if one's bigger than the other, then the other business might have an advantage or whatnot, but I'm not going to sit here and put that financial burden on a small business saying we have to have LED. I don't even know if that's within our rights as a board to mandatory be LED. I think that might be unlawful. So I think it looks great, and I do support it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Joe, so I'm going to go to you on this. Are we looking for consistency of presentation of these signs? I mean, obviously, there's certain board members that have a certain way of looking at this. My opinion is consistency. I'm not an expert over the two different technologies or the two different types of brightness and the size of the boxes. I guess I'm coming more from the consistency maybe that the city is looking for. Since we as the board, you know, set these conditions, I also want to make sure that we're, you know, I keep going back to this consistency, but I want to come back and make sure that, you know, Corey's making a point about a small business guy and the size of the sign. Dennis has his comments. I had my comments. Do you want to chime in on that, please?
Well, it's really the board's decision ultimately. The comment was in there, again, for pretty much the same reasons, more information gathering, as well as pointing out that this was also at other units, as Dennis had mentioned, Children's Place, where the blade side was installed, and with the new business going in, with all the new businesses going over there, really, it has been LEDs that have been utilized, so that would help in keeping it consistent across the board. In terms of size, all the new tenants have been adhering to their size requirement. So at each storefront, the main sign and the blade signs together have been adhering to their size requirements and being consistent across the board. And this sign is no different from that. It meets the size requirements. So I guess it's both, in terms of the comment, was both size, which the sign already does, and then the lighting.
Joe, Michael, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, if I may ask a question. I mean, if they meet the size requirements, Joe, why are these three petitioners here in front of this evening? Not that, I mean, I don't mind doing my job, but it seems that this could have been worked out at planning and development with your expertise and the good work you people do. I think, you know, we can't have people putting signs up to it and doing what they want, but I don't think they should be here paying for this process to reface existing signs, or if they're staying within their limits. So that's just my opinion. I think that needs work real soon.
Yeah, it's a requirement as part of our sign code that all illuminated signs, all internally illuminated signs need to come in
I
front of the
understand
board.
that, yeah. But I think it needs changing, Joe. So maybe a few board members and your superiors and yourself may ought to sit down and how can we work this out? Because, you know, it's tough out there in this business environment, and I think it's unnecessary that they're even here, let alone force them to put LED. So that's just my opinion. Thank you very much.
Okay. So I guess, you know, the issue around whether it has to be LED technology or not, I really haven't heard anything that there's a major difference between the two. So, I mean, my
Mr. Chairman?
opinion is that, you know, you want to go with, what'd you call it, the 5?
T5.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I could
Yep.
just ask,
Sure.
educationally, do we know the difference price-wise, LED versus, just to know the burden that we're asking versus because I don't know the difference in pricing for LED versus T5.
I mean, it depends where you're buying from.
I'm sorry?
I mean, it depends where you're buying it from. The price could be vary from a couple of hundreds to thousand.
For a small blade sign of that size?
Depends what quality you buy LEDs.
Okay.
But I believe, Mr. Chairman, that there's actually a payback that comes from the LED versus the T5.
From where?
If the efficiency of the fixture itself and the fact that the lifespan of the bulbs themselves offer a substantial payback that could be realized in a short period of time.
I mean, I have no idea about the payback. Who pays back? Either the state or the city of Lowell.
I'm sorry, what I'm referring to is the energy usage of the LED versus the fluorescent and the maintenance of the sign itself with changing out the bulbs. So the payback of the savings in energy and in maintaining the bulbs could be offsetting the additional
if you're talking
costs.
about consistency, I don't think anybody has LED in that plaza for a walkway sign. Like Marshall's, Target, or anybody else, I haven't seen LED for the walkway sign, underway walkway.
I know, I recall the children's play sign being LED, so that's my point of reference. That's all I have.
Point of reference is which one?
The children's place?
Yeah, well, I know there was at least one, and I don't have that in front of me to reference. It seems to me everything was LED, but I could be wrong on that. I know the main signs are LED. We've enforced that. I cannot recollect. That's why I kind of threw it on Joe. I could blame him, and for not remembering. But no, I honestly couldn't remember. I know we had at least one other site that had those lighting, but well, unless there's some board members that really want to condition the LED versus what this gentleman wants to come up with, I'm not going to condition it.
Mr. Chairman, if
Yep.
I can say something. I do agree with Mr. Belanger with, it's tough times right now. We shouldn't put the burden on the small business from forcing them to switch to LED or fluorescent. I understand Mr. McCarthy's point, where in the long term that you'll be saving energy, but the upfront costs, it's still solely on the business owners. And those savings, they will occur, but over, I think, a period of a few years, not in like a month or two. So that's just my thoughts on it.
Okay, thank you, Van. So I have two conditions. One will be the hours of illumination, again, to be consistent with all the other petitioners here. Your hours of illumination will be consistent with the site. And the second condition will be that we're approving the 2 signs that you're proposing before us tonight, and no more than 2. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, can I have a motion, please?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the matter before us, ZBA 2012-56 at 211 Plain Street for Sprint Wireless for a special permit. Make a motion to approve with the following conditions. The 2 proposed signs for this site are the only 2 signs for approval, and the hours of illumination are in harmony with the other businesses in the plaza.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Can I have a roll call?
Mr. Ahern,
Approve with conditions.
Mr. Bailey,
Approved with conditions.
Mr. Belanger,
Approve with conditions.
Mr. McCarthy,
Denied?
Mr. Perrin.
Approved with conditions.
Okay, sir, been approved with conditions. Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much. There's one confusion I have. The address you said is 211, but when I went to get the abutters list, they had notified me it's 199. So on my business card, it says 199. If you remember, I went downstairs to get so they didn't give me, they said it's a wrong address. So what's the right address? Is 211 or 199?
I'll let Joe answer that.
The entire plaza is 199 through 211.
Yep.
The Target portion is 199, and the remainder is 211.
Okay.
Okay.
You all set? Yeah, sure.
All right, so 199. But the whole plaza is 199, 211.
Thank you, Joe.
I'll say yes, but I don't want to. Okay, our next matter is under other business, and this is the approval of the minutes for December 10th, 2012. Just for the record, for the members of the board, I had a discussion with Joe and had a minor adjustment to the minutes, and this was for the 685 Lawrence Street. And it's in the conditions section, number 3, applicant shall have legal counsel submit proper documentation by December 24th, 2012 to illustrate all conditions of approval, both from 2007 and with this approval shall be met. Just want to mention it to the board members. So the only thing that had changed is I had asked for the date of December 24th, 2012 to be added, since that's what was requested by this board. Any other comments regarding the minutes? Hearing none, could I have a motion, please?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the minutes for December 10th, 2012 meeting.
Have a second?
Second?
Have a roll call?
Mr. Ahern,
Approve.
Mr. Bailey,
Approved.
Mr. Belanger,
Approve.
Mr. McCarthy,
Approved?
Mr. Perrin.
Approve.
Okay, Joe, next meeting date will be
January 28th.
January 28th. And any other comments from any other board members?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
on a point of personal privilege, I just want to wish Melissa Carino a happy birthday. Today's her birthday, so I know she'll be watching the meeting. So happy birthday, Melissa.
Okay, so we have a second. Yeah. I appreciate that, Van, and without any other comments, I'll make a motion to adjourn. So moved. Good night.